Hello, I'm Aileen, an Education Officer here at the Senedd. Thank you for joining me today in our virtual lesson in which we'll be looking at the Senedd's history, its powers, how its members are elected and how to vote at a Senedd election. So, let's get straight to it with a quick task to get you thinking. On the screen, you're about to see a series of activities. What I want you to do is discuss among yourselves what age must you be to take part in each activity. Simple enough? Let's get started. What age must you be to donate blood, buy a pet, own land, buy property and apply for a mortgage? Be held criminally responsible, become a nun or a monk, fly commercial planes, drink alcohol at home or on a private premises, adopt a child, own a venomous snake, register to vote. I'll give you a few minutes to think before I give you the answers. Here we go then. The answers. You must be 17 years old to donate blood. You must be 16 years old to buy a pet. You must be 18 years old to own land, buy property and apply for a mortgage. You can be held criminally responsible at 10 years old. You must be 18 years old to become a nun or a monk. You must be 21 years old to fly a commercial plane. You can drink alcohol at home or on a private premises from the age of 5. You must be 21 years old to adopt a child. You must be 18 years old to own a venomous snake. But what about registering to vote? Now, I'll forgive you if you thought that you must be 16 to register to vote, as this was true until last year. But it was, in fact, a trick question. Did you know that you can now register to vote in Senedd elections when you're 14 years old and vote in Senedd elections when you're 16? In May 2020, the Senedd and Elections Wales Act changed the National Assembly for Wales's name to Welsh Parliament, commonly known as the Senedd. The name of Senedd, or Parliament, reflects the full lawmaking powers it has received since its establishment in 1999. This law also saw the voting age at Senedd elections lowered to 16, meaning that 16 and 17-year-olds now have the right to vote. Let's find out a bit more, shall we?
Wales has its own law-making history, which goes back beyond the days of Hywel Dda, a 10th century Welsh king who arranged the laws of Wales. Wales came under English rule in 1282 and later became a member of the United Kingdom. More recently, public votes, called a referendum, were held to decide if decisions over certain issues should be made in Wales for Wales, a process which is called devolution. Wales said yes in 1997, and in 1999 the National Assembly for Wales was born. Back then, the Assembly had very limited powers to make laws. But in another referendum, in 2011, the people of Wales voted for more law-making powers. On the 6th of May 2020, a law came into force which changed the name of the National Assembly for Wales to the Welsh Parliament, commonly known as the Senedd, to reflect how its role has grown. Now the Senedd makes laws for Wales, agrees Welsh taxes, and controls many issues that affect our day-to-day lives. The law also lowered the voting age for Senedd elections. This means that 16 and 17-year-olds now have a say over who represents them.
As you've just heard in the video, some exciting changes have been made recently, enabling young people who are 16 and 17 years old to vote at Senedd elections. But what exactly would you be voting for? Here's another short video to tell you all about the powers of the Senedd.
The Welsh Government is responsible for making decisions on many of the issues that affect our day-to-day lives. The UK Parliament makes laws on certain issues that affect the whole of the UK. These are called reserved subjects, including nuclear energy, foreign affairs and defence. In Wales, we can make laws on issues that aren't reserved to the UK Parliament. The Welsh Government proposes ideas for laws and makes decisions on how to spend around £17 billion a year on issues like education, healthcare, the environment, culture and language, and transport. The job of the other members of the Senedd is to consider, debate, and vote on the laws proposed and money spent by the Welsh Government, and make suggestions on steps that should be taken to make Wales a better place to live and work. Since 1999, some significant laws have been passed that have helped make Wales a leading country for recycling, given the Welsh language official status, and made significant changes to the organ donation system.
As you've just heard in the video, the Senedd can make laws on many matters that affect your day-to-day lives, but not on all matters. The UK Parliament, or Westminster, have reserved certain matters, which they make laws upon for 2 or more of the UK nations. Wales can make laws on matters that aren't reserved to Westminster. For the next task, you will see a series of matters or subjects. What I want you to do is to decide which matters you believed are reserved to Westminster and which ones the Senedd can make laws on. Ancient monuments, immigration, lottery, sport and leisure, post, misuse of drugs, tourism, the Welsh language, benefits, housing, water, the internet, healthcare, broadcasting and other media, nuclear energy, agriculture, outer space, mental health services, education, hunting with dogs, the environment, negotiating Brexit, fire and rescue service, crime and policing, food. I'll be back in a few minutes with the answers. We'll start with the powers that are reserved to the UK Parliament. How many of the following did you get correct? Immigration, lottery, post, misuse of drugs, benefits, the internet, broadcasting and other media, nuclear energy, outer space, hunting with dogs, negotiating Brexit, crime and policing. This means that the Senedd has the power to make laws in Wales on the following matters: ancient monuments, sport and leisure, tourism, the Welsh language, housing, water, healthcare, agriculture, mental health services, education, the environment, fire and rescue services, food. As you can see, many of the matters discussed in the Senedd have a big impact on your lives as young people. With that in mind, I hope the next task will really get you thinking about the issues that are important to you and the Wales that you'd like to see in the future. In pairs or groups, I'd like you to discuss how you believe that Wales can become a better place for young people like you by coming up with new ideas for laws under these subjects: education, healthcare, the environment. If you're passionate about any of the other matters discussed in the Senedd too, why not come up with ideas under those matters too? Take 5 minutes to think of some ideas. Then pause this video to allow time to share your ideas with the other groups. I hope you enjoyed that task. We always love to hear what young people have to say and are always inspired by your brilliant ideas. Now, your ideas don't have to stop there. There are many ways in which you can share your ideas and suggestions with the Senedd. It's all about you having your say. You can start a petition through our website. You can contact your local members of the Senedd to share your views. And of course, young people who are 16 and over can now vote in the election itself. So, how are members elected to the Senedd? Let's find out.
"60 members are elected to the Senedd. They are known as members of the Senedd, or MS. 40 are elected to represent small areas called constituencies, and the other 20 members represent bigger areas called regions. When voting in the Senedd elections, you have 2 votes. The first is to vote for someone to represent your constituency, and the second for someone to represent your region. So, all in all, you have 5 members that represent you in the Senedd. This makes it more likely that at least one member will be from the party you support and share your views on a particular issue. The party with the most seats will usually form the Welsh Government. Parties can also decide to form a government together, which is known as a coalition. The members choose a presiding officer who chairs meetings in the Senedd. They also choose the First Minister, who is appointed by the Queen to lead Welsh governments. The First Minister will decide which members of the Senedd should join the Welsh Government as Welsh ministers.
Now that you're all clued up about how the Senedd works and what members do, it's time for the final video of the session, which looks at voting in Senedd elections.
Back when voting began in the UK, only very wealthy men were allowed to vote. Over the years, more and more people demanded and won the right to vote. If you're 16 or over on election day and live in Wales, you can vote to choose members for a 5-year term to make decisions on issues that affect your day-to-day life. But how will you know who to vote for? The majority of candidates will be members of political parties. Before an election, these parties publish what's known as a manifesto, outlining what they hope to do if they get in power. These are published in the weeks leading up to the election and can be found on the party's websites and shared on social media. You might also get an idea on how different parties and candidates feel about different issues on TV debates and political party broadcasts. Is voting simple? Yes. You can register online and it only takes 5 minutes. Once you're registered, you'll receive information through the post before election day about where your polling station is in your area, and you'll have between 7 AM and 10 PM on election day to cast your vote. You don't need to bring anything with you, just yourself. There are 2 other ways of voting which may suit some of you better. First, you can apply to send your vote in by post. Second, if you can't vote in person, you can ask someone to vote on your behalf. So what are you waiting for?
The question we're often asked by young people is, how will I know who to vote for? And the answer is, it's up to you. As you've just heard in the video, you can read all about the candidates and parties' priorities as they publish their manifestos before the election. To help you prepare, we've created our own imaginary candidates and parties, and what we'd like you to do is decide who would get your vote based on their manifestos. Remember, you can cast 2 votes, one for a candidate to represent your constituency and one for the party you feel should be represented in your region. It's possible that you may like one candidate in particular, but prefer another party's policies for the regional seat. Or you may wish to vote for the same candidate and party. It's up to you. Let's hear their manifestos. Candidate 1. Woman, 48 years old. Retired from teaching after 25 years in the profession to get involved in politics. Has been very active in her community, established a support group for single mothers such as herself, and has raised thousands of pounds to fund projects within her community. Entered politics as she noticed more and more inequality in the community in which she taught, and felt strongly about wanting to speak up for those living in poverty. Was elected as the constituency member for the last Senedd election. Party 1. Education. Would start education early for children from disadvantaged backgrounds as both a way to provide free childcare, but also to make sure they are on equal footing to their peers when formal education starts at 4 years old. Healthcare. Would develop a graduate training programme to train more nurses to work within the NHS, attracting adults who are looking to change to a career in nursing but cannot afford to go back to university. Environment. Would introduce carpool lanes on main highways in Wales as part of its aim to make Wales a carbon neutral country by 2050. Candidate 2. Male, 25 years old. Has always been very active in politics. Started taking part in student councils and youth forums when he was 13 years old and went on to study politics at university. Led a successful LGBTQ+ campaign in university to change gendered toilets to unisex toilets, which then led to change in many other universities. Took up an admin job after leaving university to focus on campaign work with his party. He also led the party's youth movement. Has gained a large following on social media due to both his campaign work as an LGBTQ+ ally, as well as public talks on getting young people involved in politics. Party 2. Education. Would make work experience compulsory for all young people at 16 years old and set up a national work experience scheme for young people to develop some of the key skills they need to work in the industry of their choice. Healthcare. Would invest in digital technologies to ease staffing pressures on NHS, such as virtual consultations for routine GP appointments. Environment. To counterbalance the environmental effects of new housing developments in Wales, would establish an equal area of new wildlife habitats by planting a large number of trees. Candidate 3. Woman, 55 years old. Still currently working as an A&E doctor, but has become more active in politics over the last couple of years, appearing regularly as a medical spokesperson for the media, discussing topical medical issues. Feels strongly about the increased pressures on the NHS since she became a doctor. Would campaign for more money to be invested in the NHS, as well as campaign for greater public awareness on how to use the NHS's services appropriately. Has been an active member of her party for decades and was approached by the party to stand as a candidate following her recent publicity work on healthcare issues. Party 3. Education. Would pay university tuition fees for Welsh students staying in Welsh universities to study industry-based courses such as medicine, engineering and nursing, as long as they work in Wales for at least 5 years after graduating. Healthcare. Would reconsider prescription charges in Wales, allowing patients from lowest income families to continue to access all prescriptions for free, but for all other patients to have to pay for basic medications such as paracetamol and ibuprofen. Environment. To ban supermarkets from using unnecessary single-use plastic packaging, to invest in companies developing packaging from recycled materials and fund the growth of independent zero-waste stores. Candidate 4. Independent candidate. Male, 34 years. studied economics at university and has been running his own business for the past 15 years. Alongside his day job, he has set up a mentoring scheme for young entrepreneurs and is passionate about supporting startup businesses. He is also incredibly passionate about the arts, and since his school years has been a part of amateur dramatic societies both on stage and off stage, helping them apply for financial grants to help fund their activity. Has decided to stand as an independent candidate as he doesn't feel that people with disabilities such as himself are given enough consideration within other parties' policies. He believes by being elected to the Senedd, he will always be there to champion the cause of disabled people, as well as champion other issues he is very passionate about. Education. Is concerned that not all schools in his constituency have enough modern ICT equipment, so would push for more funding to make sure all pupils have access to modern technology as part of their education. Healthcare. Wants to support services in his local hospital and prevent it from losing essential departments such as A&E and special care baby units. Environment. Wants to charge a fee for vehicles entering his local town centre and use this money to improve public transport services. Take a few minutes to discuss which candidate you prefer. You can always pause the video to discuss with the class and rewind to see the manifestos again. So, there you have it. Everything you need to know about the Senedd and its elections. Before we finish, let's test your knowledge with a quick quiz. Who was the first person to arrange the laws of Wales back in the 10th century? Owain Glyndŵr, Hywel Dda, Llywelyn Fawr or Lloyd George? The answer is Hywel Dda. What do we call the process where power is transferred from the UK government to national governments? Devolution, power share, transference or determination? The answer is devolution. What did the Senedd and Elections Wales Act not change in Wales? The name of the Assembly, the right of prisoners to vote, the right of 16 and 17-year-olds to vote, and the right of foreign citizens to vote. The answer is the right of prisoners to vote. How many members of the Senedd represent you? 1, 3, 5 or 7? The answer is 5. How many members of the Senedd are there in total? 20, 60, 40 or 80? The answer is 60. What is the role of the Welsh Government? To tell the Senedd what to do, to pass laws in Wales, to decide on foreign affairs, to run Wales and spend money on public services? The answer is to run Wales and spend money on public services. What term refers to political parties coming together to form a government? Coalition, union, joining, or double government? The answer is coalition. Approximately how much money does the Welsh Government, with agreement from the Senedd, spend every year? £10 billion, £14 billion, £17 billion, or £20 billion? The answer is £17 billion. Senedd elections are held every how many years? 2, 3, 4, or 5? The answer is 5. What document do political parties publish before an election outlining their priorities and ideas? Manifesto, brochure, political paper, or invitation? The answer is manifesto. Thank you so much for joining me, and remember, there are many ways in which you can use your voice and engage with us here at the Senedd. If you're 16 and over, good luck with your first vote. If you're just missing out on voting, then why not consider the Welsh Youth Parliament? If you're between 11 and 18 years old, you can vote and stand as a candidate in our next election.